Welcome back to Basic Crypto. I'm Connor Olstead, and today we are going to be talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, and FTT. Thanks for joining us today, guys. This is a topic that's kind of like newsworthy, but I think that there's a lot of aspects inside of it that I think are important for people to understand, know, and then we're going to wrap out the end of it, kind of talking about my opinions of that and just kind of what it means for the crypto space. So let's get into it. So who is Sam Bankman-Fried? And what is FTX and FTT? Sam Bankman-Fried is the CEO of FTX. He started FTX and Alameda Research. Alameda Research is a cryptocurrency trading firm. And then FTX is a cryptocurrency exchange, or was before everything really hit the fan in that world. But I want to start off, instead of talking about him, I want to start off about talking about FTT. So the way that these exchanges work is that there actually needs to be some kind of liquidity token or backbone, if you will, of the exchanges and how the trades actually happen. And that is why most exchanges create their own tokens. Binance had their own token, or has their own token, BNB, and then FTX has FTT. And I want to relate it kind of in the world of like Starbucks, because Starbucks, it has rewards points, and that's pretty much what FTT is you are able, if you use FTT to do your trading, so trading from FTT and to it, and if you use FTT, you get rewards for it. And those rewards are FTT. And every time I say FTT, I'm talking about a token. It's the FTX trading token. But FTX trading token, or FTT, is what is used as a kind of liquidity hub. So things, because FTX is an exchange that operated as a pretty much for simple traders all the way up to advanced traders. They had futures, they had options, they had spot trading, they had a lot of different tools. And in order for all of that to work, they had to have the ability to kind of hold funds in certain places, move funds to certain places. And to do that, they used FTT. So that's what FTT is. A lot of exchanges have something that's very similar, like I said, but the difference, instead of, my analogy for Starbucks doesn't necessarily fit for exactly what FTT is, because it can be traded, FTT itself can be traded elsewhere on different exchanges, because it's a blockchain. Anybody can tap into it. Anybody can buy them and trade them and whatever. FTT's token was on Binance. It was on CoinEx, or, there was a bunch of different exchanges that it was on, which means it would be like if the Starbucks rewards that you have, you could also use at Target, or use it at other coffee shops. And because those coffee shops are part of, connected some way to the Starbucks network, right? And so then, now let's talk about Alameda Research. So Alameda Research was the first company that Sam Bankman-Fried actually set up. And that was set up to do crypto trading. So people would give him money, have him trade for that, trade crypto and increase money, whatever. And it would go back to the people in reality. And they said at one time that they had like $13 billion of actual tokens that were trading on the platform, or that they were responsible for. Now, Alameda Research was the primary funder of FTX for it to be developed, because Alameda Research was the first company that Sam Bankman-Fried, and I'm going to refer to him as SBF from now on, because that's what a lot of people refer to him as, but it's the first thing that SBF was using or had and grew in his company. And so then obviously he was able to garnish quite a bit of wealth out of that. He wanted to create something that, could be even more, and that's where FTX came into play. And it grew very fast and very quickly. Okay, so let's jump into the Starbucks analogy. So we have Alameda Research, who in this situation, let's say, is like Starbucks, and we have FTX. And actually, I'm going to switch the two. So FTX is kind of like Starbucks, and they have FTT, which is the token that's used, or the rewards points at Starbucks. And then we have Alameda Research. And let's say that Alameda Research is like the plantation that is growing the coffee that Starbucks owns. Okay. And it's not a quite direct correlation because Alameda is purchasing off of FTX and is using it. But just like, bear with me on it. So we have all the rewards points that Starbucks has is backed by real dollars because people put, and technically you're trusting that Starbucks has it, right? But Starbucks is actually one of the biggest banks, or has one of the biggest banks in the world because of all the rewards points that they have on there. That's why I chose them to use as this explanation. And so the chances of everybody going in and using all their Starbucks all at once is super, super low. And so Starbucks has like $1 billion that is in these rewards points. At one point I checked and saw that that's what they like kind of claim for the estimation for it. And so the chances of like, even if 75% came, they would still have $250 million that people aren't touching. Well, what's to say that they aren't allowed to loan that out? Like the rewards points in the Starbucks analogy are going to be used at Starbucks. You can't, I have no idea if you can go and say, hey, I want a refund on these points or not. I'm sure that you can, because there must be some law against it. But that's kind of what happened with FTX. You had FTX that had FTT. And so a lot of people put into this to get extra rewards, to get discounts on prices, whatever. And so FTX started to have a huge bucket of money that they knew was going to be traded on their platform. Well, on top of that, they had other people that were putting into that bucket of money with the other exchanges that were connected to the FTT token and trading the FTT token. And then you have Alameda Research. As we know, the crypto market kind of took a little bit of a tumble after all the liquidity in the 2020 market kind of went away and washed out. And with all of that happening, Alameda Research had a pretty poor leveraged position. And so they made some trades. They might have done some futures options, whatever you have, and their balance sheet was off. So Alameda Research has themselves in a little bit of a pickle here with their leverage position. And what FTX decided to do, and what Sam Bankman-Fried decided to do, was use the FTT token and the amount of FTT tokens that he had as a leveraged position of sorts, or was able to use it on his balance sheet as an asset, and then therefore show that his balance sheet was equal and was good and was growing, and then get more funding. And the ball, it's robbing Peter to save Paul, like almost literally in these two, Alameda Research is one and FTX is the other. Because the problem with that is that when people come to collect their tokens, use their tokens, move their tokens, if you get low enough on what has been borrowed off to Alameda Research, then you don't have the money to actually give back to the people. So now imagine that Starbucks takes their rewards points, they go to somebody else and says, oh, hey, look at all this money that we have. Why don't you give us some money so that we can pay our plantation workers? That's essentially what is going on with FTX and Alameda Research. They just said, hey, and mind you, Starbucks has the ability to just create rewards points and give them to anybody, right? Create 20% off if you use your whatever, and create these these stars or dollars or Starbucks dollars or whatever that it is that they use. And so imagine that they are able to do that. They create this and they say, boom, all of a sudden we have $1 billion. So now at this $1 billion that we have sitting in here, why don't you see it's a good company to invest in, invest. Okay, thanks for that $250 million. I'm going to go use that to pay off my plantation workers. Well, but then there's more and more and more plantation workers that come and that need their paycheck. And so they have to continue to up and up and up those rewards points in order to get more money from other people. And the cycle just continued. And before we move on, I just wanted to say, if you guys have the opportunity to leave a review, it would really help me out. I don't do any kind of sponsorships for this podcast yet, and I really haven't been pursuing anything like that, but you leaving a review gets it out to people, helps them understand it. And as this kind of crypto world continues to grow, people really need to understand it, and I would love to be that person that helps them. So leave a review, and let us know what you think of the podcast. Why did this happen? This happened because of a couple things. One, a big problem of it was the media. Sam Bankman-Fried was a philanthropist. He had a lot of giving that was going on. He gave a lot of money to a lot of charities, people, whatever it might be. He paid a lot of celebrities to be on FTX commercials. They have FTX Arena. I think it's in Miami. So he got a lot of media attention. He was constantly doing interviews, Zoom calls, and he liked it and he was good at it. In a sense, people kind of saw themselves in him because he never dressed, fancy, and he wasn't a businessman. He was a programmer and tech guy. So the media definitely has a problem here because they bolstered him, and that built a level of trust. The SEC also has a problem here because this happened under their watch. There was a lot of, and really, in my opinion, it's because there's no regulations and there's no clarity. The SEC definitely has some fault to play in something like this. And then the other fault is regulatory bodies like the Bahamas. They had extremely lax when it came to crypto, and a lot of people like that because the point of crypto is the decentralized aspects of it, and that kind of a regulatory body kind of allows for it. But at the same time, there is a level of protection that a lot of people think should happen. Not regulating something like this is a problem. And it's a problem that the government's, working to fix, that a lot of people are working to fix. In my opinion, the problem is the miseducation of the actual system and how it works. And I think that the problem is not FTX or Sam Bankman-Fried or Alameda Research or FTT even. I think the problem is that the traditional systems and how they are set up are inherently flawed. The banking system cheats like this. You put money into a bank account, they're allowed to loan it out. And it's because inherently it's backed by the U.S. government, if it's FDIC insured. The crypto exchanges, I think that Coinbase is technically FDIC insured, but that just tells me that they are most definitely loaning out the money that I put in there. Something like FTX, he was bolstering up the FTT token and showing that, look at all this FTT that I have, and kind of treating it like it would be like $1 or euro or something like that. And then going to investors and leveraging essentially that to get their US dollars to dump in and do the same thing over and over again. And so I think that regulation is different because he wasn't going to banks to get this money, and at least not like traditional banks like, you or I would go to get like a loan. He was going to people and their banks to get money. And it just, in the end, it just didn't work out. And I think that that's because we are able to see it. The guy that exposed FTX for what it was, or that really peeled back the Band-Aid so that we could see the wounds that they had, was the Binance CEO. And he, because when they started to go down, when Alameda Research had this leverage position and things just started to not be right. Sam Bankman-Fried went to him and said, "Hey, save us, please. Give us some injection of funding." They said that they would. They went into it fully intending to do so, and then as soon as they were able to look at some of the balance sheets and transactions and a little bit more of what was going on behind the curtain, they backed out and actually sold off. The CEO sold off $500 million or something of his FTT token. And that is what exposed it, because he knew that FTT did not it was a sham. And let me explain that for a quick second. So FTT, what they were doing in moving it over to Alameda Research, then Alameda Research, in part of their crypto investing, was investing in FTT. And so it was just moving money over to one bank account while leaving the number high in the other, and then going back and pushing that money back in. It was just like a constant circle, of really, in reality, paying a credit card off with a different credit card and saying that you have just that, that amount of money, and then just retaking out more and more credit cards, if that makes sense. But all this to say, what does this mean, right? The solution I believe is actually cryptocurrency. You might be looking at this and thinking, hey, this is actually the problem. It's not. The solution is crypto because we can see what's going on. I have no idea how much money Wells Fargo is lending out, actually has on their balance sheet, doesn't, and I have to wait until their AAA rating drops to a AA or however that system works. And I have to just trust that the regulators behind it aren't getting bribed to make that happen and make it and keep it high and look past something, right? This also means that security is huge. I remember somebody reached out to me saying, hey, how did the FTT thing go with you? Like, did you lose some stuff? I know a lot of people lost some stuff. I didn't lose anything because all of my tokens are on cold wallets, or the majority are. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to my cold wallet podcast, because that's how you keep that kind of a thing secure. That is the beauty of cryptocurrency, is that I can save my money or my tokens, my coins. I can hold them and keep them without having to trust anyone. I trust myself, and I have my phrases, my key phrases. I have my cold wallets, and I know the passwords for them, and nobody can touch them. A different bank can't lend them out unless I say that they can, and they don't go anywhere unless I say that they do. And that's what is so great about this kind of a thing. And that is also why understanding crypto and understanding how this all works is so important. I can't stress that enough. This also means that regulation is heavily needed. I know that a lot of people don't like it. My opinion is that there is we have to figure out something. Is it a security? Is it a digital asset? What are these things, and how are they regulated? Do I need to report my tradings even if I don't, or my profits and losses every year, even if I don't trade? Get it together, U.S. government, SEC. Like, what are we doing here, right? Because this world is developing outside of our country. It's developing, and so we have to do something about it before it gets way out of hand, and everybody else is much, much further along than us. And before you know it, there's going to be a digital currency that replaces the US dollar as the reserve. And that's going to be bad for the US and bad for a lot of people that have put a lot of stake in their US dollar. But that's my opinion and my doomsday talking. And then the last thing is that what this means is that this is all part of the process, right? It's a new technology. There's new things coming in, just like the .com bubble. We had the ICO, initial coin offering bubble. We now have, just the crypto bubble in general. But once that bubble pops, and really in a lot of ways they have had little bubbles pop here and there, but once it all gets flushed out, you're going to experience the benefits of all of this. And it's just part of the process. And the early adopters that adopt it correctly are going to profit a lot from it. The early adopters that just do it because they are too scared to be or they want to be on the cutting edge and they're too scared of missing out on something, they are going to miss out on something. They're going to dump a lot of dollars into something that they don't truly understand. And it's just going to go away when somebody who does understand it comes and takes it from them. And that's what happened in this. Sam Bankman-Fried, he was a philanthropist at heart. He lived on pretty much nothing and wanted to give a lot of his money away. And I have no idea if that got the best of him and he became too prideful of it. But in reality, I think that, it's just part of the process. So if you have any questions on FTT, FTX, if you want to, correct anything that I said, leave it in the comments below. I did some research on this and, watched quite a bit of stuff and read, stuff on Sam Bankman-Fried, but I'm sure that there are different aspects of it, especially as time goes on and more things are revealed, that gives more detail onto this kind of a story. But the important thing is to understand the types of tokens like FTT as well, because, without really understanding this space, you can really get screwed. So get a cold wallet, get your coins in your own possession, and we'll see you next time on the podcast. Thanks for joining. And also, if you have any more questions, hit me up on Twitter at Connor Olstead, or leave them in the comments below. I post this on YouTube and everywhere you got podcasting platforms. So thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next time.